Hello. So to say it very shortly, the Witcher team basically left the studio CD Projekt Red and founded their own studio where they have a lot more creativity and of course the possibility of making a game that is actually fun. We'll be watching the first trailer for the game. Now, the game has also a few red flags because it's not on Steam yet, it's not listed on Steam. It doesn't mention much about the gameplay itself. It just shows you a lot of elements that are very cool. So even if we are left with this cinematic trailer, I think that will be more than enough to understand what's happening. Well, as you can see, Europe was a cruel place during the plague, and also had vampires and other nightly apparitions, let's call them that. But it's the Witcher games without a Witcher. Instead of a Witcher, you'll be playing as a vampire that was recently transformed, and you'll be learning the powers of a vampire, plus you need to basically keep things in control in your region. It takes place in the Carpathian Mountains, which is very rarely, I don't know, shown in games. Most of the games just like to show the German side of Europe and, that part of the world. But I think this is a very good step in the right direction, because if you look at the game, it's very dark, it's very creepy, it's very realistic. They try their best to have gear that looks authentic. I mean, look at the guards, they have the kettle helmets, they have the gambazons, the king is wearing mail, he has the expensive gauntlets. Those gauntlets are very expensive to make. Plus he has much nicer armor overall. Basically he was trying to save his sister because his sister had a plague, and the king said kill everyone that has the plague, which is kind of interesting because that's not how you did it, but hey, you get the idea. That was basically a vampire, so I guess you can consider this as more or less a spin-off of the Witcher 3 DLC with the vampires. This is one of my favorite parts over here. He just starts beating up the poor guard. Since the vampires are actually elder vampires because they use magic, they use weapons, they use a lot of things as well. I think that's a newer vampire. They also had a stream where they explain more about the game and the lore itself, so the older a vampire gets, the more teeth they have. And in order to make a new vampire, they need to pull out one of their teeth, put it into the heart of the victim, probably give them a little of their blood, and that person will become a vampire. See that many teeth? The teeth are actually invisible if they want, but this is probably one of the oldest vampires we see in the trailer. Basically in the beginning they only have 2 fangs, and then they have a lot more when they grow older. There's a funny comment on the trailer saying that this is not a good vampire, this is just a vampire watching out for his food source, or for their food source. I mean, things were so bad in this part of the... It's not very clear if they turn her into a vampire. I think they're only feeding her the blood, that whole idea of making children vampires is probably still taboo. They're just probably healing her and making her a familiar or a servant, and this guy will be turned into a vampire, but it doesn't happen in the trailer. I am life, I am death. Things are so bad that they have to intervene in the rule of people. Also, it's kind of implied that the humans are so weak and so divided that the night creatures can kind of escape their hiding places. Also, YouTube is very bad with ad blocker, so that's why you see the YouTube being very slow now. You see, of course, different regions of the people that came over here. They're not all from Europe, of course. Yeah, so basically what is happening is that they're trying to... I don't want to say save the world, but they're trying to stabilize the world. And you're actually going to get a far more interesting premise of the game over here. As you can see, now he's turning into a vampire, and this is to highlight that he's a new vampire, or something happens to him, I don't know. It's not very clear what happens to him overall, because as you see, the trailer doesn't explore much. The Blood of the Dawnwalker, and he's still walking in the sun over there, and now he's in the night over here. Yeah, dark, gothic, creepy, interesting, very cool looking. So the vampires came out of the shadows. This is also a vampire, by the way, and the fangs apparently will start growing out of their head sometimes. Here you can see a little clear there from where they come from. I'll not even try to assume where all of these people are coming from. Let's just enjoy it for what it is. And this is where he does a cool parkour thing. Is the soul worth the lives of those you love? This is also another cool part because you have to fight for humanity or embrace the curse powers to save your family, which is an interesting option because apparently you will be able to play against the vampires or join the vampires, which begs the question, what enemies do the vampires have? That's probably one of them. Let's look at that again. It's kind of a creepy looking mechanical thing. Actually, that mutant, that monster seems more akin to a Witcher game than anything else. They also show this a lot of times, the castle, the dark moon, the darkness, the fog. Basically everything is as you would expect it to be. Studio born out of passion for RPGs. Now, this is not a single studio per se. The problem I think it will be, they seem to have the publishers, Bandai, PS5, Xbox Series. I'm not very sure, but I don't think they are a standalone studio. As you can see, it's registered under Bandai Namco Entertainment Europe. So, again, this is not a solo studio, it's actually a AAA studio. Now, this is where things get a little bit foggy and murky, and I'm not sure what to believe, because the developers are clearly hinting at the freedom of creation, freedom to create a game as they liked it, but at the same time, it's clear that they have, you know, their overlords. Also did a stream over here, and this is where things get a little more annoying, because basically the whole stream was them. Oh, I should mute that. Making a presentation of the game, hiring people. I don't think these are developers. They might be developers, I don't know. I didn't watch the whole thing. But they also have a presentation at a castle, also near the castle during the day and then during the night, and also from inside the castle itself. You can clearly see this was done by professional team with professional editing, with professional equipment, with a lot of time on their hands. This is what worries me. They don't even have a clear schedule for the release of the game. The game is not even on Steam yet. It might be an Epic exclusive. It might have a lot of issues. It might be released in 2 years. I'm joking, it might be released in 2 years. But they're promoting it as it is going to be released next month or something like that. Also, they have The Witcher. This is music similar to Witcher 3. They're going in full emotional. Probably this presentation costs more than my salary for an entire year. So they seem to be spending a lot of money on promoting the game that doesn't exist. So it's a lot of red flags. That's the problem. I wish they would handle all of this stuff a little differently, because as you can see, you have the channels, but you don't have the Steam to wishlist it. So I'm very worried they might pull some stunt on us, and I'm also a bit worried because they don't mention how the gameplay really is. Are you going to fight against the vampires or the humans? Are you going to protect a single settlement? Is it going to be open world game? Is it going to be a game where you have a few locations available for questing? They don't mention a lot of things either, so I think they're just trying to promote the game, but that just raises up a lot of red flags in my opinion. I really wish they would have released the game on Steam, or at least listed the game on Steam, and then released all of the details and all of the trailers and all of the presentations and all of this cool stuff, because what they're doing right now is promoting a game that doesn't exist, and this is what people should be a little bit afraid of. On the other hand, is the only game that I want to play this year. There are a lot of indie games, a lot of smaller games, some strategy games, some RPG games that I want to play. But this is actually the most promising game of the year, except for Menace, which is a totally different genre. It's a tactical RPG. And this might not even come out this year, and that will actually annoy me, because I am so sick and tired of developers promoting something that doesn't exist. They are selling you a concept of a game, they're wasting your time, because if you watch the full Twitch stream, if you watch the trailer a couple of times, anyway, if you just waste your time reading all of the stuff that is about the game out, you'll find out that you'll be wasting 4 or 5 hours for nothing, because we don't have a game, we don't even have gameplay footage. This is a cinematic trailer, but it's very well done, but again, just shows that they invested a lot of money into the publicity for the game, because they have what was it called? It has a specific name, the corporation, not corporation, the studio that owns it. Anyway, as you can see, they are part of a bigger gaming studio. So it's not really going to be as indie as they might want you to believe it is. It's not going to be as free as they want you to believe it will be. And I'm also not very sure about the whole premise of the game. Yeah, it's gothic, it's nice, the atmosphere is nice, but would you just be doing fetch quests for different characters in the game and then you'll end up choosing X or Y? I mean, I don't know. I just wish we had more of this, because this is what I'm avoiding lately. I'm avoiding presenting games or just commenting about the games that don't exist yet. It's the most promising game I've seen so far in 2025, but I don't believe it will be released this year. Probably next year it will have a release date. Probably it will get delayed, you know, the usual stuff. This is not a new studio. It has all of the funding it needs. It has all of the talent it needs. It has all of the people it needs. Poland has actually been doing very, very well when it comes to gaming lately. I don't know what happened. Poland is becoming the new France of gaming, because France, you know, had Ubisoft and so on. So it's very promising, but at the same time, I just want to know the real details. So this probably will be the only video I make about the game until we see the gameplay. And I'll start making more gameplay video, and also when we have some interesting trailers, just because we don't have nothing to play this year. We'll have 4 or 3 catastrophic AAA games like Avowed, Obsidian. Anyway, they'll be so bad I'll not even mention them anymore because I'm tired of them. Dragon Age Origins was the last game I saw trailers for, and I'm sick and tired of learning from all of the bad things. So yeah, I'll try to focus a little more on the positive side of gaming, but I'll also say when a game has problems, and so far this game seems to have a lot of problems, but nothing that is really promising except for the trailer and the promise of the developers. So yeah, don't waste your time. It's better to clean your room than waste your time on the trailer, on the video, on comments, on stuff like that. So go and clean your room or something.